Okay, this is an explanation video for the quadratic functions quiz on slackmath.com. We're using QuickKey to record answers, and then if you're a teacher, you can, of course, use this to assess your students. First problem here, which quadratic function has its vertex at 4, -6? The answer is A. The format for a quadratic function in vertex form is x minus h in the parentheses squared plus k. So because the x coordinate of the vertex is 4 and the y is -6, that's why you've got minus +4 plus a -6, or in this case -6. So that is A. Number 2, oh, and actually we can take a look at, I've got the Desmos app here for, I don't know if you can see that on the video, but you've got the vertex at 4, -6. You might not be able to see that with the screen. Anyway, just to back it up graphically. Okay, number 2, write the equation for the parabola whose vertex is -5, 7 and passes through -3, 1. So because the vertex is -5, 7, all the forms should be +5 and +7. +5 in parentheses because we've got x minus h. In this case, h is -5, so it's like saying x minus -5, which is x plus 5. All of these have x plus 5. And then 7 is the y coordinate of the vertex, and all of these end with +7. So we can't really use that to help us with process of elimination. However, we can look at this point. So any ordered pair x comma y that's on the parabola should work in the equation. So you see I've circled B. Now if we type in to the right into the calculator, let's see if that's viewable. -2 parentheses -3, that's the x value, +5 squared plus 7, and we get an output of -1. So in that case, when you put -3 into the function, you get -1 as an output. Therefore, B is our answer. The quadratic equation x squared plus 10x equals -106 is solved by completing the square. Which equation below could not be a step in that solution? So we'll do on separate paper here. Solving this equation using completing the square. Keep that on the screen. Okay, so x squared plus 10x, and I'm leaving a space here because I want to add 25 to both sides. 25 is half of 10. So you take half of b and square it, and you add that to both sides. Now it doesn't really matter if we've got a positive or a negative value of b, because once you square it, you're adding. So the reason why we do that is because now this trinomial on the left becomes factorable, and we have -106 plus 25 equals -81. So going back to the original problem, -106 plus 25, x squared plus 10x plus 25, that's D. So we can't really, that is a step in the solution. And A is also could be a step in the solution if you were to have said simplified the right hand side first, then this could be. Now, C looks like that could be a step. However, this is equal to negative 81. And this says x plus 5 squared equals positive 81. So that could not be a step in the solution. To finish the problem out, you can take the square root of both sides. And the square root of negative 81 is 9i. The positive and negative of 9i. Subtract 5 on both sides, you have negative 5 plus or minus 9i. That will be the solution to the problem, but in our for the value of x. But in our case, choice C is the correct answer. Number 4. Use the value of the discriminant to determine the number and type of roots for the equation. So you've got 3x squared minus x minus 12. And the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now in this case, a is 3, b is negative 1, and c is negative 12. So what are we talking about? Well, the discriminant is this part here in the square root, b squared minus 4ac. So let's just see what that comes out to and then kind of analyze it from there. So b squared, b is negative 1, minus 4. 4 is always in the discriminant. That's a value from the formula. Times a times c. So you've got 1 negative times that negative is going to make positive. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 12 is 144. 144 is a perfect square. We add 1. It is not a perfect square. Okay, now let's keep this in mind here. If we put this into our formula, you'd have x equals the opposite of b, which in this case would be positive 1, plus or minus the square root of 145 divided by 2 times a, which is 3. Okay, now we're going to have 2 roots. So we can get rid of b as a possibility. The 2 roots, I might have to kind of split screens here. The 2 roots are 1 plus the square root of 145 divided by 6, and 1 minus the square root of 145 divided by 6. So what are those? Well, fold this paper up. 2 complex roots. Not complex. Complex would mean that you'd have a negative in the square root, or a negative, an imaginary root. 2 real rational or 2 real irrational. That's what it comes down to. Well, the square root of 145 is not a rational number. So choice D is our solution. And you can essentially anticipate that by just by calculating 145, knowing it's not a perfect square root, and you'll be led to choice D. For the final problem, what is the solution to the quadratic equation below? And this is 2x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. 2x, x, so I'm factoring the quadratic equation. Minus 6, so we've got plus 3 minus 2. If I multiply 2x times x, I get 2x squared minus 2x, and then 3x positive, minus 4x. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. These two combine to negative x, which matches our original. So each one of these leads us to a root or a solution. And that means you've got 2x equals negative 3, negative 3 over 2. and x equals 2. So in set notation, okay, which was choice